Hello you guys, I'm super excited because today I'm filming another makeup roulette video. I switched up something and we're gonna have new, not necessarily new, but I just narrowed it down, the decisions on the wheel. Every time I do this, I want to go ahead and like switch it up or like swap something out, just keep it really narrow. I think I had so many options before that I was like, oh my god, I'm not gonna get to all of these. So I think like within every time I record this, I can add new ones or different ones. It's been a while. I typically don't like to experiment with new makeup, so I decided to put some popular trends makeup in a wheel. One of my options will land on that, and then I'll try out that makeup style, so hopefully that I can dive into new makeup styles. Also maybe incorporate some like aspects in that makeup style in my current makeup routine and see how it works out for me and see if I find something new. Let me go ahead and get the wheel ready, show you guys the options, and then we'll do our little dive in. Okay, the wheel's all set up. Today we have 9 options. Before I believe I had over like 15 or around 15, but now I do have 9, and I will insert all of them. Well, you can see here like briefly, it's bright, and then I'll insert all of them right there. Okay, did I spell license right? No, but the reason I included this in here was because I've seen so many like specific makeup tutorials to retake or to take your driver's license picture, and I've seen those recently, so that's the most recent one I think I've added. So I want to go ahead and look at videos and show you guys examples and why it's different from like a daily routine versus for a specific picture. Okay, let me go ahead. Okay, so I've compiled all of the images that I need to go ahead and capture what this is going to look like. Also, I think I also confused this with passport picture, but they go vice versa, right? They're professional little, you know? At first glance, this is like everyone. Overall view of what I saw on Pinterest of what driver's license makeup is. Honestly, like the bottom one, but I realized that that's a different whole state. I'm pretty sure, not state, country. It's a whole different country, so I don't think mine's gonna come out like that. So let's focus on the 3 that are California. And the basics of this look, what I believe I need to include is absolutely heavy contrast. So whether that is with contour or bronzer, I need to have contour or bronzer. It looks like as if everyone goes super heavy to not have it washed out, and the contrast between like your under eyes, that they're super bright, and that the contour is noticeably darker. You need some sort of eyeshadow. Looks like no one kind of just leaves their eyes blank or just with concealer. Everyone is including eyeshadow and creating further contrast. I need darker brows. I usually, for my brows, I only add gel, but I think for this I might add a little bit more pomade to the ends of my brows, just so that everything's uniform. I need a dark lash. It doesn't have to be huge, but just noticeable and dark. And I think maybe a glossy lip. I don't know what type of lip color we need to do. I don't think it matters. Everyone goes pretty for the nudes, semi-nude. So that's something that we will go for. I think I'm gonna keep it similar to my makeup look. Just kind of go heavy. Hopefully it doesn't look crazy. We will see. What I want to get started with. I'm doing my eyebrows. Hyaluronic acid to start. This is what I go ahead and prep my eyebrow gel with. The only reason I do use this is because the gel that I do use is really thick, and I realize if it dilutes it a bit. Coat it all over, even like blend it in. I also did put in contacts. Realistically, doing a picture where they let you wear contacts, we'll find out. Got to be. I brush up the hairs in the front and then comb the rest of the hairs to the side, like to the outside of your face, and then I sparse them up a bit. I lay flat the bottom edge of the eyebrows and then just sparse up, and you see how it gives them like a little bit more thickness. Now that my eyebrows are all gelled down, I'm gonna go in with that same spoolie that I used to flatten them out and dip it in some old medium brown Anastasia dip brown. Then like wipe off the excess to the point where it only leaves like slight color, and just darken the brows. I do this just to go ahead and create symmetry between both of my brows, I think, because one is longer than the other and this one's a shorter one, and also just to better enhance that ombre effect. It just looks better that they're darker at the very ends, you know what I mean? And we don't have to go in like too harsh. For me personally, I don't really try too hard to make sure it's like clean or cut or anything, because I do also clean it up with my skin prep and when I carve them out, so it's nothing that I put way too much like attention to this detail. I probably should, but it's okay. To start off with my skin prep, I'm gonna go in first with Essence Toner by Lemieux. Put like 2 sprays on my hand to start with. I also do this just to clean up any gel that could be close left to my brows. Another 2, and then on the other side. Next, we are gonna go in with Pond's moisturizer. Also, I'm gonna go in with Terrazin Honor Essence. You need that extra hydration besides just Pond's, so we are going to try it out.
Especiales de Semana Santa, vayas a verlo. Tu Smart TV, ahí en
UV Daily SPF, since it's still early in the day, 2 stripes. Okay, applying that second moisturizer actually did so well for my skin and nothing pilled at all. My final prep step, I will be using e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. I actually really do like this primer, and I do notice a difference when I do my makeup, when I have it on versus when I don't. The only thing I do notice though is that when I put primer before I put a skin tint, it just doesn't look as like a polished finish as when I put a skin tint without it. It's very interesting. Okay, perfect. My skin is all prepped and ready to go. Now we can start off with makeup. One thing I'm going to preface is, because of the high contrast that I notice this makeup requires, I am going to start off with concealer. And that's what I usually do for my quick makeup, because I don't apply foundation all over my face, just the spots I didn't apply concealer. This also is another hack, essentially reverse contour in the shade Swan, and it's the Born This Way concealer. And how I apply this is a lot. Let's start off with one side so you guys can see. All around my nose area, take it up to the spot that I know the contour is going to be at. Drag it across the eye, but don't take it all the way up to your lash line. And then feather and wing it out, kind of right above the ear area, and slightly buff out the rest. Go under your nose, chin, gradient it out basically. And then we're going to do the same to the other side, and then I'll do brows. Now, full of concealer. Now what we're going to do is my eyebrow. It's going to be this one.
Entiendes muchas cosas. Juan Evangelista Nalco en la sierra ya lo ha experimentado, y uno cierra los ojos y te da un mundo tan mágico de que estamos rodeados. Hay muchos fenómenos muy fuertes, pero las historias.
So I brought the concealer down to my nose, and then I also finished concealing my brows. What I did do off camera, slightly underline the bottom, but I just tapped it with the residue of the square brush. For eyebrows, what I do is I draw a straight line across, then connect down for my nose, followed by slowly going closer to the brow once the straight line is there to get them symmetric. That is like my guiding point. To foundation, I will be going in with my favorite. It will be a NARS foundation. It's going to be in the shade Fiji. You can see down there. Maybe you can see, and it's a little blurry, but I'm not lying. And we're going to apply that everywhere that we didn't apply concealer. The face mask method that I do for my full beat, but it's going to be everywhere. You know, everywhere now where I didn't apply concealer, instead of everywhere on my face before I applied concealer.
Pues dice, eso no existe y está bien, pero nosotros que hemos estado emergidos en este mundo sabemos lo fuerte y poderoso que puede llegar a ser este tema. Compartirte una historia, bro. Es una historia, y quiero me 80, incluso una de mis historias 940, pues que en ese entonces no había tantas, ya claro, ¿a qué voy? Hay algo fuertes, pues tenía diferentes usos y costumbres.
Now that it's everywhere that my concealer isn't, what I like to do is those little like bridges between concealer and foundation, now I will connect them, because I didn't want to get concealer on this brush during that process of applying it in areas that I didn't want that, you know what I mean? So connecting, just like blending them together just to create that nice little ombre effect. Even for my nose, I'll slightly do it, and then for my eyebrows, I think I already went super close. Now we're going to let this dry down a bit, and it just further helps your makeup stay on longer. That's all it is, and it makes it more full coverage. Okay, perfect. So with a damp beauty blender, I'm going to blend the concealer areas first, then that's with the ridged side, or like the sharper side. Then with the softer sides, I'm going to blend my foundation.
Ya con eso, pues ya mencioné lo importante.
Actually, I told you guys wrong. I usually do blend my foundation first and then the concealer. But because I already started, let's just do the same to both sides and slightly blend this and pat this down. But I'm not going to blend it fully because I wasn't supposed to do that. We're going to go back to foundation.
Me llama la atención porque no ocurre en México. Un rancho que jamás voy a olvidar. Pero ella me dice una frase. Estar con ellos, cavando hoyos.
Okay, I'm all blended out. It doesn't look like it. Now, what we're going to do is, because of the little residue that I put at the bottom of my brow, I am going to stamp my eyes. Usually for my other makeup looks, I will not go in with concealer on my eyelids, but for this one I am, because I am going to use some eyeshadow. Stamp any residue that was on this. Stamp here. I am going to still leave this darker. And yeah, we can move on to contour. Makeup by Mario, and the shade is going to be light medium. Go in with this Morphe brush, M242 for cream and liquid bronzer, and just carve out my face, especially where I want everything to be very defined. I'm going to be very precise and not blow it out too much, just to kind of leave that under eye area still bright. I'm going to show you guys which areas I contour. So suck in, and you can kind of see what line. I feel like I've been doing this so much, I already know where to place it, but in case you didn't know, suck in and you'll see where. You put a little line down by like the sideburns, or like the very edge of your face, and put the contour under and not a line directly across, so that it creates that shadow effect. And then in a picture, your jawline will come out sharper as well. Next, tap that here and kind of border your face as well. Now that both sides are contoured, I was gonna go in with a cream bronzer, but I think I want to do more contour than bronzy. That's what the vibe is. Now we're gonna go ahead and go for my nose. We're gonna go and draw a little line across. Okay, and then a line at the bottom to lift the tip. Narrow them together. And you'll create a line here and here, like a very slight shadow. Next, with the residue, or even I can buff this out more here, just slowly start dragging it up, consistency throughout the nose, and then further darken like this socket area in your eye to make that line down in shadow. It doesn't look like you just have lines on your face, you know? It looks like there's shadow and dimension. I'm actually going to put a little bit more cream contour and apply it everywhere on my eyelid as like a base for this eyeshadow look. Back with this cream contour brush and kind of buff out any of the contour that could look harsh possibly. Even go in my eyes and blend that out to brighten even more, because I love a bright under eye. I don't care. Dot here, dot here, dot here, dot here. And we're using Huda in the shade Yogurt Drop. So I'm going to reiterate the lines for my eyebrows just to make them more prominent and darker. Just around the front. I don't think I'll do everything. Brighten up that T-zone. And then on my nose, that little highlight area down as well. Blend that out with a beauty blender, and then we're going to set it. Right here, I get any residue from concealer and just cut the bronzer that we did. And if it's too harsh for you, what you can do is use the side that you've been blending foundation on and just pat that line to buff it out.
Y ella no entendía por qué en ese momento.
I almost forgot the main reason why I used Huda, and that's to brighten this underbrow area.
Abuelo, vi algo.
Okay, now that this under eye is blended, I'm going to go in with a powder puff and tap it in Huda Beauty Cupcake. Stamp that while you look up to reduce any creasing. Also, don't try to apply it, I think, too messily. I think being precise with your powders, especially after blending out wet products, it really does like impact the cut, the structure of the makeup. Okay, now we can do the other eye. Now that both of my under eyes are set by Huda Beauty in shade Cupcake, I'm going to go in with that same beauty blender and just mainly set areas that I for sure want to be carved out. Setting powder was sitting for a minute. I'm going to just go over my nose with the residue. Now with a big fluffy brush, like pat it this way, just tap it into the areas that we contoured and that we didn't set with the beauty powder puff. I don't really like going into my eyebrows because with the gel, it doesn't make them like dry, kind of have a gray cast if I go over powder with it, over them with powder. Now for my absolute, I love powders, I really do. Actually, I haven't used this in forever. It's cracked. This is one of like the cool tone bronzers that I used to love, and it's NARS in the shade Laguna. It looks like that. And I'm going to go over the bridge of my nose and right under like the most sharpest point of my contour, buff it out, and then do another bronzer on top. We'll see how that comes out, but I'm excited.
I forgot to tell you this, but I hope you had a really good birthday or something. And we were like an hour late. I was like, what? And then we ended up leaving. But Andrew just kind of feel like he was talking, but like, what else did you say? Are you at work? I'm saying no, you're not. Your location's Santa Ana.
I went in super sharp. Okay, I need to buff this out because I don't know what's going on. Now I'm gonna buff this out as well, and mainly it's just to create that like super sharp structure so that when I go in with bronzer, it's like a little halo over my contour. Physicians Formula. This one's really orangey or really bronze. Like that's the best way to describe it, is it's really bronzy. So I'm gonna go in kind of light and just subtly tap it in because I still am going to buff it out. Should I put more on my nose? I think my nose is good. There. And shadow. Now we're gonna go in with that flat brush that I used earlier, and it's a Morphe X Aerial brush in A24, and then just tap it into place. Now time for blush. I used to apply my blush over my bake, but you know what? I think applying my blush before my bake is sometimes better because it emphasizes the bake and the brightness of the under eye versus me going over the brightness of the under eye with a blush. Just depends what look you're going for, or if you don't want that bright of an under eye, do your blush after to slowly diffuse that brightness. I'm using Juvia's Place Volume 4. I'm gonna use the lightest shade right here. And I am using a baby pink blush because I still don't want to put something corally close to my eyes and risk the under eye not being like the focal point, but I think I'm starting to slowly like other bronzer and blush colors that do diffuse the under eye. If anything, people sometimes don't even notice I wear blush. I do to some extent. Now that everything is all blended and set in place, I am going to bake. I usually bake with Morphe and Brightening Pink, but I think I'm out. And I have this mystery powder that I don't know what it is. So I think I'm slightly going to bake with this, mixed with Huda. Okay. Slightly different POV while I am baking. My camera is about to die. I'm not going to front with you guys anymore. I do need to go to the DMV and retake my picture because my driver's license expired. So I do have to hurry. So with that same NARS bronzer that I used to really cut close here, I'm going to dip this brush from Morphe X Aerial. It's the A20 brush. Just kind of get in there, all those crumbs, and buff over my entire eyelid. On this side as well. I know right now it looks a bit harsh, but we want that contrast there and that darkness to peek through versus how bright the under eye is. And we also just need to blend it. I also want that to be noticeably brighter than the rest of my eyelid. Okay. Makeup by Mario palette. Different fluffy brush by Morphe X Aerial. And go in with this very like taupe mauve shade, taupe, and just pat over just to kind of give a matte look to the bronzer we just applied, or more of a stone color. Stone cold, stone cold. Okay, go in with this brown, but it's kind of a mute brown, and then just tap it in the crease. Around the lid, because my crease is crease to lid. It's okay. Crease to lid, crease to lid. Buff it, buff it. I'm going to take this little angled brush, go in with gray, and wing out messily, because it's gray. Kind of follow that line we initially did. And back up to your crease. Then we can use any of the brushes we had used previously and buff it. And then go in again. Buff it. Okay, I'm going to take this black and at the very, very ends of my eyes, tap it there. And then feather. Kind of like a mini wing. But also go into like your upper lash line. And then we can go into like the outer crease as well. And with that same brush, what I'm actually gonna do is buff it out here. Also, let me just blend this. Go in with that brown that we used before. Dip it in here, go into your lower lash line. But ever so slightly. I think like that's enough. Okay, I'm going to curl my lash and get started on mascara. We're going to go in with Too Faced Better Than Sex Foreplay. This is a primer. I mistakenly bought it thinking it was a mascara, but it's a primer. It can work as a mascara, but I think knowing it's a primer like messes me up. I should have never looked at the package. I should have looked at the packaging while I bought it, but obviously not. Anyways, I mainly used to comb through these lashes. Hate the grow out phase of a lash lift. I feel like they get all messed up. Either I don't know what oils to put in my lashes to take care of them after a lash lift, or they just grow all crazy and get so ugly. We're also going to prep my lower lashes as well. The goal is darkness, especially towards the roots. While this layer dries, I'm going to brush off my bake. Okay, to brush off the bake, I usually use a different brush. Oh, it's right here. This fluffier brush. And just tap into Fit Me Shade Translucent 100 and just buff that out. I don't know why I tap it in here, but I just find that I like how the powder looks when I do. Now that we brushed off powders, the mascara is kind of dry. I'm going to spray it with setting spray just so it's not super dry. Drowning. And then around my nose, do like to reiterate the powder sometimes. Then what I'll do is actually go with Patrick Ta. I'm going to do another round of mascara, but this time with Sky High by Maybelline. Imagine this ends up being like the worst picture of my life. What would I even do? I'll come out looking like handsome Squidward. Back to scheduled programming. I have set up some lashes. They're Ardell like wispy clusters, and I put the 14s with Kiss Aloe Glue. Two on this side, two on this side, and they're both 14s. But in the meantime, I am going to prep my lips. I came across a Vogue makeup tutorial by Ariana Grande, but she puts on lip stain, then wipes it off, and then puts on her like lipstick. I think I want to do it today. So today we're using Plum Paradise Ulta Beauty Weightless Water. More towards the center because I always do that. And then we'll wipe it off in just 1 second. Maybe I'm getting the steps wrong. This gloss by the Makeup Shack in shade Liddy. But I'm going to wipe it off. I think because the glitter is going to exfoliate my lips. Anyways, let's apply this lash at the very end. Next, we'll take another 14, or the other one, and apply it right next to it. I'm pretty sure they already think, what the hell, what happening with my picture now? It's really ugly. Like, really ugly. I think I'll only show you if my new picture comes out better. If not, I'm not showing you. Let's see what place I am in line. Okay, I'm 30th. But I'm basically done. I just need to change. I see her vision now. We're gonna speed run, guys, because what the fuck. Highlight the nose. And now... That sounded like, I know that one song where it's like... It sounded like that. Okay, shut up. I never felt this way before, and I swear if it's true, and I know you. Okay, I'm a singer. Handayan shade 01. You know what? The lip stain made my lips a little too dark for my liking, so we are gonna do this gloss. Or I could use a matte lipstick. This one. Also, I don't know, this is very sultry makeup. I didn't expect it to come out like that. Hopefully it doesn't photograph like this. It's going to, huh? I need a nude lip. I don't have a fucking nude lip. I think my mistake was doing that lip stain. Now my lips are dark. Fuck Ariana Grande. Not fuck Ariana Grande, I'm saying like fuck Ariana Grande. You know what I mean? Okay. I'm not saying fuck Ariana Grande. I'm saying like fuck. Save me Ariana Grande, like that. Oh my god, I'm 24th in line. You know what? This is gonna have to do lips. Also, is my hair gonna be like this? Or should I do a side part? Fuck. So where? Okay. Wait, chin down or up? The camera's right here. What the? Ew. Okay guys, this is exactly how I did my hair for the DMV. Hopefully it comes in pictures out pretty cute in the photograph. I have no idea what it looks like. She was so fast, and it's not printed. Like literally on the form they gave me, there's no version of what my picture looks like, so I have no idea. She said it would come in about 2 to 3 to 4 weeks, so we will see then. What? Also, I don't know why there's so many people. I barely made it to the appointment. I was driving there. I got there when I was already first in line. I parked and it said that they were calling me. I walk in, I see on the screen already a different number for window 5. It said I was getting called for window 5. I was heading that way and already a different number was getting called for window 5. I go to window 5, hopefully she's nice, and she's already servicing someone else. So the person who went through window 5 already zoomed the hell there. But right when she was finished, I asked her, like, oh, I was called to this number, but I was in the restroom. I'm sorry, like, I needed to go. I was a little late. And then she was like, okay, what are you here for? Like, she's mean, but she's telling me, like, bitch, you can't do this again. Like, I know, you can't do this again, I'm sorry. And I won't. I'll never. But yeah. And then I was like, oh, can I retake my picture? And she was like, no. And I was like, oh, can I retake my picture? She's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And then on my way to take my picture, the security was like, oh, you're trying to find an exit. And I was like, no. So he was like, are you trying to find an exit? And I was like, no, like, I'm trying to take a photo. And I was like, oh, okay, my bad. And I was like, yeah. Anyways, I went to line for the photo, and then I don't know why I thought the entrance was also an exit, but it's not an exit. I was trying to walk that way, and then I was like, where's the exit? And he's like, it's okay, it's okay. And I was like, okay. I walked that way, and he was like, but before you go, I need to get something from you. And I was like, what the fuck, bitch? Like, I need something from you at the DMV. Also, Omar doesn't even know this story, so I'll tell you the whole thing later. But let me continue my story. And then he was like, I'm gonna get something from you. And he was like, he shows me his phone, and it's open on his phone number. I was like, that's federal, and I left. Show you guys my old one. Why are you laughing? You're so weird. You know that one video that's like, never mind.